Welcome, dear students. Our current session focuses on what is English and the importance of English language. I hope and expect by the end of this session you would be able to define the term English itself, and you would also be able to understand its significance. Well, my dear students, as the students of the history of English language, I think it would be quite appropriate and it would make sense for you to, start your explorations with the exploration of the word English itself. You need to think about what does the word English or what does English language mean. Well, probably in our day-to-day lives, we use the word in so many different ways with all the ease and the comfort. And, we know what we mean by that. But when it comes to defining it is quite problematic. Why it is problematic? Because over the times, the term also has evolved and the meaning of the term English or English language has also undergone through certain change. My dear students, for that purpose, I would like you to start with, taking a pause here and to think about what do you understand from the term English language. Probably it would be a good idea for you to write it. Also keep in your mind that you are going to explain, for example, it to somebody who does not have any idea about, who has no concept of the English language. Well, if you do that, probably you would start your definition with saying, that English is the language that is spoken by the people of England. Interestingly, this is how Dr. Johnson also defined it in his dictionary in the 18th century. And here on the screen, you can see how he defined it. This is what is taken from his dictionary. And he defines it as an adjective, and he says, it is belonging to England, thence English is the language of England. However, with the passage of time, there is a change in the meaning. Today, the word English has much more associated with it than it was in the past. English as a language has spread extensively in 2.5 centuries since Johnson's times, and so has happened to the meaning of the term as well. If we consult modern dictionaries, we would see that they do support what meaning is given by Johnson. However, they add some global scope to that as well. Here I'm going to give you some examples from some modern dictionaries. So, if we look at the Chambers Dictionary, 11th edition, in the red color here, you would see how the term English language is described. A Germanic language spoken in the British Isles, USA, most parts of the Commonwealth, etc. So, from England, the scope has been broadened to the USA and to some other areas. With this, we move on to the Oxford Dictionary's definition, which has further extended the meaning of the term. And here, in the red color, you can see on the screen the meaning that the Oxford Dictionary offers. Of or relating to the West Germanic language spoken in England and also used in many varieties throughout the world. So, two things are important here. A, throughout the world it is used. Also, acknowledging different varieties of English. It is not one standard, variety that is used everywhere. The dictionary acknowledges that. These definitions, of course, concentrate on a number of key elements. The communities in which the language is used. It is used in the USA or in Australia or in New Zealand or in, other parts of the world. It is acknowledged. It is not now limited to England. Also, these modern dictionaries and many other modern dictionaries acknowledge its historical development. That is, its Germanic origin and the way, how from that Germanic origin it has developed into a language that is now being used all around the world. All these definitions link language with people, with those who speak it, or those who speak it now, or those who spoke it in the past, So, in a sense, these are all the social definitions of language, describing it not in terms of its structure. None of these definitions tells us that in terms of structure, this is a language that is like this or that. In terms of syntax, for example, this is a language that is a subject, verb, object structure, or what. In terms of phonology, what kind of language it is. No, not about all that. Rather in terms of people, the users, the speakers of that language. So, from that, what we derive for ourselves as a lesson is that the language does not exist as an abstract entity. Rather, it is something that is what actually, in real life, people use. And it is something which plays a significant role in their lives. So, in any investigation into language, we need to look into the social and historical context of the language. And same is the case with English language. If we want to study the development of the English language through the times, we also need to look at the socio-historical and political developments taking place through the times. It is also important for us to understand what is English and how is it defined through the times, how the term has changed through the times, because that gives us clues to, orientation towards how we can study it. We also need to understand what is the significance of this change in perspective and how this change in perspective relates to the study of English language.